7 minutes early on the birthday live. Wonder if anybody will pop in early. Probably sit here for 7 minutes. 6 minutes. Oh, we got one person already. Sweet. I didn't think anyone was going to pop in. Sonny, how are you? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I didn't think anyone was going to be here yet. It's just me and you, Sonny. How was your day? Well? What's up, Matt King? How are you? Southern Charmer, thank you very much. Suji, Johnny Ohm, Simone, hello. Shari, thank you, people. Thank you. Truth in Christ, how are you? Peter Parsons, how are you, my friend? Poppy, GG, what's going on? Jason Anderson, thank you from Albany. My neighbor from, 45 minutes south? Yeah, about 45 minutes. Mike Sosa, how are you? Marine, how are you? Hello, De France. Oh, no kidding. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. No kidding. I didn't know if anyone was going to even get the notification. Hey, Johnny Midnight, how are you? Amy, 29th, I wish. I really do. It's been, 19 years? 19 years since I was 29. Pops, how are you, dearie? Clarko, Janie, how are you, hon? Gringo, what's up, Gringo? Otis Driftwood, long time no see. How are you, buddy? George Coker. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mike Scott, appreciate that. Jesus Doctrine, how are you? Winter Sky. Just started Winter Sky. That's awesome that you got the notification, though. I didn't think anyone was going to be early. We are a little early. Like I said, it's only going to be about an hour, but I do have some very interesting stuff. Of course, I've got some lot lizard experiences. I have some really cool encounters, but I have something that I want to share with you guys. Open Coloring Book, how are you? Versace Sunscreen, how are you? Appreciate that. What's up, Joel? Hello, how are you? What's yuck, Mike Scott? Lot lizards? They're the greatest. They're the deadliest cryptid that lurks known to man. Zilla, how are you? Brian Mons, how are you tonight? Every time I see Brian Mons's, thank you, my friend. Every time I see Brian Mons's name, I imagine him wearing a name tag that says, "Hello, I'm Brian Mons, cryptozoologist." Yes. The dreaded lot lizard. They are filthy. Tijuana border jumper, how are you? Poppy all the way from Sweden, I believe. What's up, Luke Neely? How are you? Thank you. I love the Bungle shirt. This is my favorite album that they did, actually. Streaming on Facebook. Flat Earth, Buffalo, New York. What's up, Stephen Lynch? How are you, my friend? Evolutionary Energy Arts. Thank you. That's a very interesting name. I work graves and listen to you work. Nice. What's up, Redacted? How are you? I can see you. You cyberbullier. Yeah, that's what Ello. That's what lot lizards are. It's a running joke on our channel. I honestly don't know how it started, but it just started that they're the most deadly cryptid known to man. Caden Zero, how are you, buddy? Well, Kathy Hayes, tell him I said thank you. Annie Beverly, how are you? Marcia, thank you. Thank you, Caden. I appreciate that. My day, I'll tell you how my day went. Tyler Marshall, how are you? My day, I went and picked up my dad. He has a 1971 fully restored K20 Chevy pickup, and he can't drive it because his legs are really bad. Obviously, he was in the hospital for 7 months, but it's 3 on the tree standard. It's got a Corvette cammed engine in it. It's a really awesome truck. He restored it when he retired. And I took my bottles back because I had $72 worth of soda bottles in my freaking shed, and drove the truck around for a couple of hours with my dad, and just had a good time. That's awesome, Evolutionary Energy Arts. I can't believe, speaking of that, I still can't get over Stephen Quayle linking my channel. That's sick. What's up, Vang? How are you, buddy? Phil, what's going on, my friend? Brennan, how are you? Thank you so much. Joe, how are you, Joe? I'm having a glass of wine. I'm having a cup of tea. Luke Thompson, thank you very much. How did your dad acquire the truck? He bought it in 1971, and he's owned it since. He bought it while he was still in the Navy at a car dealer in Maine. And then when he went to Vietnam, no, it was after Vietnam. When he went to Bermuda in Italy, he left it at my granddad's house, and then he drove it to work on a daily. It was a daily driver. And then when he retired from the paper mill, he took it right to the frame, refoamed the frame, and built it right back up. So it's got the locking 4-wheel drive hubs on the outside, so you got to get out. Tea is good for you. Tea is very good for you. I hear a glass of wine is good for you too, once a day or whatever. Brennan Harris, it will be out shortly. I can't talk any more about that. So I can't say anything anymore about it. Scottsdales are nice. I like Scottsdales. My cousin had it was like a 78 Scottsdale, step-side Scottsdale. Brown. It was nice. Beretta Vandy, how are you, buddy? Thank you. Carjack, how are you? So, we'll start the night off with a Dogman encounter since we've got an hour here. Back in 2020, I moved to Doyleston, Pennsylvania to be near my son and grandchildren. I found a small cabin-like apartment in Bucks County. I live near farms and woods. I signed my lease August 6th. On the evening of August 7th, 2020, my son and I came to the apartment to move some stuff in. We were both standing near the rear of his truck in the driveway when we both turned around, not because we heard anything, but we just happened to do so. When we noticed a black, odd-looking creature creeping at the end of the driveway, trying to go past us in the direction of the farm across from my cabin. It quickly turned around and was gone fast. We both agreed that it did not look like a dog or a coyote. We finished unloading that evening, and I was constantly asking what he thought the creature was. He said that he didn't know, but it was weird looking. I wrote it down because, excuse me, I wrote it down because that's what I've always done. 7 months later, March 1st, 2021. It was cold and a windy morning. I'd put the trash out hours before, and I was working on my computer, and I hear a loud bang. And right away, I knew it was my trash can, so I put my jacket and shoes on, grabbed my flashlight. It was a little after 3 a.m. The reason I grabbed my flashlight is because it's still dark, and there is wildlife in the area because the woods and farmland. When walking on my driveway to the road, you can't see at all unless it's a full moon. As I got down to my trash bins and started pulling the can up from the ground, I heard a car horn blowing and the sound of someone slamming on their brakes. As I looked toward the stop sign, I saw this black figure in the light of the car standing in the middle of the road. It dropped to all fours and started heading in my direction. I noticed a guy standing in the road. Within seconds, the creature had reached my driveway. It noticed my flashlight and stood on its hind legs, boxing its front paws and growling. It sounded kind of like a snore. It had yellowish eyes and stood, I'd say, 6 feet. It had black spiked hair and had drool coming out of its mouth. Suddenly, the car peeled wheels and made a left turn toward my driveway. The creature dropped to all fours and was gone in a blink. The car stopped in front of my driveway, and the guy yelled out, "What the fuck was that?" He then proceeded down my road. I was walking backward, shaking nervously toward my front door. I got inside to find myself still upset and shaking my head. I stood at the door with the outside light on and waited for the car to return. After a few minutes, the car blew by my driveway and proceeded the original way he was heading when he encountered the creature. This creature looked something like something that was on steroids and from my horror movie. I know what I saw. I don't drink or do drugs. I take care of my wife, who suffered a massive heart attack and has dementia. I haven't seen this creature since. When I sit outside at night now, I am packing 2 guns. I researched this and found nothing, but I continue looking in case something pops up. I hope I never see it again. I still think about it when I go outside at night to sit and relax. Anyway, I hope that you find this interesting, and you hope that I don't sound crazy. A little bit of background on myself. I worked for the police and fire department in Baltimore County, Sparrows Point Police, high-tech security, private bodyguard, bank security, Baltimore Blast Soccer security, and Pinkerton. Thank you. Well, I think because he worked for Pinkerton, I believe him 10 times more. Of course, I believe him, but Pinkerton? Come on, buddy. Who hunts crawlers with a sword? That's crazy. Fuck that. I wouldn't hunt a crawler at all. That's exactly what I'd use. 12 gauge, my Caltech, baby. What's up, John? How are you? Thank you, Candy Phillips. Lucas Williams, thank you, buddy. Yeah, Facebook is a dangerous place. The government watches it on a daily basis, yet people still create groups. Oh, Joe, thank you so much. Thank you. Actually, I have part of today's birthday upload or birthday live. I have a segment that I want to do on something that you got me. And I was thinking of you when I decided to put it in. The giant in California story you told, they had video of helicopter taking the giant out of the mountains, then quickly removed it months ago. I wonder if that was the one. I honestly don't know what that means. G Vinner. Here, I will put my email address in right now. The video of the giant is not taken down, and there was never a video of a helicopter with the giant on it. G Vinner, my email is between Jane Lindley and Clyde. Clyde, thank you, buddy. Helmet. I don't talk to them about that helmet 007. I know my dad believes, well, it's not even a belief. I know my dad knows these things exist, so. Thank you, Kathy. Cookie, how are you? I appreciate that, G. On YouTube, it was in a giant net flying over California. Well, that story, the person that shared that only shared that with me. So if there was a video of it, it's not his, and it has nothing to do with that experience either, because he only shared it with me. Kandahar giant military killed one several years ago. Yeah, a long time ago. Back in like 2000. So I guess this is what I wanted to share. So Joe, being the awesome person that she is, there was something that I was talking about a long time ago, and I was talking about Anton LaVey, how he had written like a chapter, or it was actually like a little book kind of, on how to become a werewolf. And I just kind of wanted to share that with you because I find it so interesting that, one, I mean, why would the founder of the Church of Satan write a little brochure pamphlet on how to become a werewolf? But I just want to quickly share this with you. How to become a werewolf. The fundamentals of lycanthropic metamorphosis, their principles and applications. Anyone is a potential werewolf under emotional stress. Civilized human qualities regress to basic animal reaction, and a threshold of potential physical change is reached. Temperament. People who normally behave in a coarse and brutish manner would be thought to be bordering on an animal state, hence making the complete transformation relatively effortless. This is a fallacy. For Charles consider themselves as human, the highest and most noble form of life. They are almost animals all of the time. So they dare not go over the brink, for that would be apparent. One who has only risen to the curbstone dares not to return to the gutter. Only the higher man can metamorphose, as his ego will allow him to go all the way. He knows he is circumspect and cultured the greater part of his life. So the transition to animalism can be entertained without complication. Manifestations of this phenomenon are abundant. The most polished individuals become the most degraded when the proper opportunity presents itself. There is no drunk quite so sloppy as a rich drunk. Analogies of such polarities are endless. drunk as a lord, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Count Dracula, Jack London, etc. In virtually every literature, stage, or motion picture, temperament, or treatment, the lycanthropic is his normal state, depicting as a human of warmth, understanding, sensitivity, and intelligence. Three principal emotions of sex, sentiment, and wonder may be considered as triggering mechanicisms, as will be shown in the following formula, by which one can affect the change from man to beast. Environment. Everyone has at some time or other wandered into an area such foreboding that it is felt that someone or something is lurking in the shadows, watching, ready to spring and devour. Perhaps it was a deserted house, perhaps a lonely path through the trees, possibly an abandoned quarry. In many cases, it is known or discovered that such areas have witnessed death of an unexpected or unusual nature, or perhaps mayhem and other violence, all actions involving intense or increased production of adrenaline on the part of either victim or perpetrator, lust, terror, aggression, defense, etc., is followed by the form of varying degrees. Excuse me. The polarity that such an atmosphere has undergone can be likened to an area where heavy concentrations of electricity have accumulated and discharged repeatedly, thereby recycling the ionization of the atmosphere in a chaotic and disturbing manner. The initial charge and attraction of such an area proceeds from its spiritual and geometric pattern. This can be likened to the existing feeding trough to which animals come from miles around to dine on carcasses of their predecessors. Preparation. This children's Halloween game gives us a clue to the role change necessary to becoming a werewolf. Briefly, it is thus: enter an area you know to be trauma-producing with the fullest intention of being frightened. Allow yourself to be frightened. If necessary, wear articles of clothing conducive to the most submissive or vulnerable image. Accidental victims are always thus attired. Get the feeling of the place as a victim. Allow yourself to be frightened as much as you can. If you can supplement your fear with sexually stimulating feeling, so much better. Allow yourself to virtually shake apart with fear, and if possible, obtain the O, whatever means may be necessary. For this will make your subsequent werewolf changeover easier. After you have released all of the fear and fled the scene of your terror and ecstasy, go home and ruminate over what you felt. You will soon discover that sort of magnetic pull will manifest itself, beckoning you to go to the blighted spot. This uneasy attraction will increase with each succeeding day, ideally bordering on compulsion. When you find yourself unable to resist the temptation to return to your danger spot, repeat the first incident as much as necessary. You will find a second foray into the area even more profound than the first, due to the anxiety and anticipation. The metamorphosis. Attire yourself in a manner conducive to the change, that this to be affected. Legends of berserkers donning skins of wolves and bears hold substantial meaning. In view of the importance of costume and ritual, dress in the most stereotyped, corny manner, as the second skin that you wear is the potential element in complete transmogrification. This is sympathetic magic exemplified. If you wear a mask of a wolf or the skin of the beast, it is preferred if it is not genuine, as you can better infuse masculine of the choice animal in your own personality while drawing from the known attributes of the species represented. So meaning just like the Navajo and other black magic shamans, they used to wear the cloak or, hide of a coyote or wolf. This is what he's telling us to do. Enter the blighted area with eager anticipation. When you approach the spots, the stage has been set, all necessary components. So pretty much Aleister Crowley, Anton LaVey, with that, how to become a werewolf, pretty much researched Navajo and Ojibwe and other Native American cultures and lore and put it in a book, dumbed it down for the people, and wanted people to try it. Glenn, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Kakalina, how are you? Indie Wall, how are you? Yeah, this isn't Crowley. This was Anton LaVey. Crowley is way beyond that. What's up, best bullies of Scotland? How are you? All right. My name is Dave, and this is my experience about the Uvis Lake. So, me and my dad thought it'd be a good time to go catfishing at Uvis Lake, just outside of Gilroy, California. We pull up near the dam and get our things ready. We start walking toward the water when my dad slips on a piece of wood, but he gets back up and is totally fine. We get to our spot that's about 70 yards from us. It didn't take us but 5 minutes to hear the first sounds in the brush. My dad and I both froze. We kept a lookout for what the cause of the sound may be. Uvis is a prime spot for some shady stuff to go on. The sound continues for the next hour and about a half. It reached the point where all we could do is think, WTF. I then try and think what it may be. I rule out human because there is no car pulled up except for us. We would have seen them coming from another direction. Yet we do have boar, coyote, deer, bird, and ground squirrels. I am quick to rule out deer, bird, and squirrels because they are not out this late at night. It was about 11 p.m. Plus, it also sounded larger. So coyote would be ruled out. Lastly, boar. Boar are loud and travel in large groups, so they are not the culprit. We quickly get the F out of there. My dad speeds ahead with a light, and I am forced to watch our back. We arrive to the car, only to learn that my dad had lost his keys on the fall, and that we are not out of the woods yet. We hear rustling, and boy, the rustling did not stop. My dad tries to call someone to pick us up so we can come back to the car with a spare in the morning. It was about at that moment when me and my dad hear footsteps in the brush, not 20 feet away from us. I was scared. I didn't move nor say a word, and at this moment is burned into my brain. This thing did not move, but I could see the glare of its eyes. It was like this for 10 minutes. I finally waved someone down, and they pulled over, and we told them what happened. My dad finally got someone to answer the phone to come and get us. At this time of sharing this, we did get our car back, and we will not go to Uvis at night. This is a long one. This is actually a little longer than normal, but just because it's a birthday celebration, we still got to do it. Just because it's not midnight, still a little early. $20 is $20. Ah! Still do it on the birthday live stream. Still do it on the birthday live stream. DB Mac is not here tonight, though. Thank you, Thad. Appreciate that. What's up, Samurai Sean? How are you, buddy? Rockin' steady. You shut up about the Dodgers, bro. Shut up about the Dodgers. Scott Ray, happy birthday early. No, it's not a Viking horn. It's a shofar. It's a Jewish horn. Tim Coonbo Baker and another friend of his who works for the state police in South Carolina both claim that it works on Bigfoot and such. And for years of knowing Tim, I've used it in the woods where Tom Mezek disappeared and got some very interesting feedback in the woods. Thank you, Mike Daniels. Appreciate that. Tommy Lasorda was a werewolf. He was something. I don't know if he was a werewolf. I think he was something. He probably touched his own butt and smelled his finger after. I bet you. So Sonny, here, I'll share what the shofar does. So supposedly everyone knows the shofar, the walls of Jericho, the biblical story. But I don't know how Coonbo came to the conclusion of this. It wasn't his idea. It was someone else's. And it said to call in Bigfoot or push them away. Now, he had blown his shofar off of his deck one night to mess with his dogs. And a couple of nights later, his wife wakes him up. Tim, get up, get up. And there was a Bigfoot standing on his deck. And then they moved back to the south. Now, where Tom Mezek disappeared, the missing 411 in the Adirondacks, I've brought it there multiple times. I've blown it 3 times as the Trinity. And because that's what you're supposed to do per Tim and this other guy. The one time that I blew it and had something strange happen was on the eclipse, but it sounded like something was running away from me. The day that I caught the metallic noises, I did blow it. And the only thing that I think that happened was the wind picked up. But other than that, that's the shofar deal. Thank you, Mad Dog. I appreciate that. Thank you, Troy. Glenn, how is your pregnant love doll? How is that possible? Does the baby come out smelling like dirty plastic? What's up, Mike Turner? Strawman found dead. Oh, I like that one. That's awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you, Strawman. My birthday's in 9 months. Crystal, thank you. So, this took place in Santiago, Chile in 1999. It was roughly 11 p.m. The main witness, I was visiting the house of some friends located on El Basquet Street near the Pocoro section on the 4th floor apartment. After having dinner, I stepped out onto the terrace or balcony and began taking in the view of nearby Cordillera. Totally relaxed, I perceived at the distance of about 1,000 to 1,500 meters and at about 100 to 300 meters in altitude, a large red object that appeared to be approaching, which at first I thought was a small plane, or more exactly, an old two-seater vintage model, which were used a lot during the 50s. I was curious as to why such an aircraft would be flying so low. Concerned, I thought the pilot was lost and was flying dangerously close to the buildings. Moments as the object came closer, I was stunned to see wings appeared to be flapping up and down. The wings were approximately 4 meters in length. Stunned, I could now see the object was really some type of red-colored winged creature, which moved in sort of a zigzagging motion, always following a same track. Suddenly, the strange creature was now in front of the witness at a distance of about 50 meters, but maintaining the same height, parallel to the Bilboa Street. At this point, the witness noticed that the creature's body appeared to be divided into 2 sections. The top section was less maneuverable and more rigid, while the bottom section was in constant motion. Terrified, I thought I could make out huge claw-like appendages on this creature, which appeared to be indeed carrying something which I thought could have been a human body. As the creature flew by, moving swiftly away from me, I remembered that there was a large window on the other side of the apartment, of which I could still see this creature fly. So I yelled to my friends, UFO, UFO, and they ran toward the window. My friend managed to catch a glimpse of the creature again, but in an instant it vanished behind some buildings. My observation lasted 30 to 40 seconds. Later, the witness commented on what he had seen with his close friends and contacted a source convinced he had seen some type of gargoyle-like creature carrying a helpless victim, which the witness admitted it could have also been a large animal. So, I mean, in Chile, we really wouldn't know that if like someone got kidnapped and fucking was flying through the air with Batman. Mighty Thor, thank you for joining us tonight. Brett Pruitt, thank you. Appreciate you. Delirium. What's up, Israel? How are you, brother? Mad Dog. I will put my email in what's happening at the dome. What dome? I'll put my email in the thing right now. You'll have to email me for a mailing address. Alan Howell, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Ricardo, thank you. Mad Dog, my email is right under Alan Howell. Lot lizard experience? Is that what I'm thinking it's time for? Everybody want a lot lizard experience? Mind you, the lot lizard experiences on this channel are fictional. These are fictional. Chief Nosewetter, how are you? All right. Fictional lot lizard experience, not real. All the other experiences are non-fiction. This is fiction. Here we go. OG Hash, thank you. Sing it to myself. Actually, Pups left a voicemail today and sang me a happy birthday. All right. Fictional lot lizard experience. As I drove down the winding highway, the GPS led me to a dilapidated truck stop nestled in the heart of the woods. The neon sign creaked and flickered, casting an eerie glow over the parking lot. I had heard rumors of a mysterious creature that roamed these parts, but I had never believed them. That was until I saw her. The lot lizard, a mythical creature known to prey on unsuspecting truckers. Her scales glistened in the dim light, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity. She beckoned me with a seductive smile and a hypnotic whisper. "Take me for a ride, handsome," she purred. "I'll show you the night you'll never forget." I hesitated, but my curiosity got the better of me. I followed her into the shadows where the air grew thick with an intoxicating scent. The trees seemed to lean in, watching us with a malevolent gaze. As we rode, the lot lizard's true form began to reveal herself. Her skin turned scaly, her teeth sharp and pointed. She was no longer a seductive woman I had met in the parking lot. She was a monster, a cryptid born from the darkest depths of the forest. I tried to flee, but she was too quick. She wrapped her slimy tentacles around me, pulling me back into her darkness. I screamed, but my cries were drowned out by a howling wind. The next morning, my truck was found abandoned on the side road. The lot lizard was nowhere to be found, but locals knew what had happened. They whispered stories of this creature that preyed on unsuspecting truckers, luring them into the shadows with her seductive charms. I never returned to that truck stop, but the memory of that lot lizard has haunted me for years to come. She was a creature of horror and humor, a twisted being born from the darkness of the forest. And she would always be waiting, ready to tempt the next unsuspecting trucker with her deadly charms and slithering tongue. Thank you, Charlotte Knight. Thank you. What's up, Fuji? Haha. I got one more lot lizard experience. Oh, the Sphere in Vegas. I don't know what's going on with the Sphere in Vegas. MJ, did I get your email? Did you email it to me today? I don't know. I haven't checked my email all day. I've just been busy. I got I got an interview. Thor, thank you so much, my friend. I truly appreciate you. I will check later. Kathy Wood, thank you. After this live stream, I'm going to be talking with a guy that was friends and worked with Andrew Dawson, and it's been about a week in the waiting. Have you ever read a story about a Dogman up in St. Lawrence County? Yeah, actually, I've had a couple different people, a logger that was from Malone, and another guy from Fort Covington. Dan Stan, I imagine you do in northern Minnesota. I'll have to look at that, Joe. Oh, Charlotte, my family, my cousin, and my aunt and uncle live up there in Hogansburg. Booberry, I appreciate that. Thank you. And welcome to our live. I'll have to check them out. Actually, didn't you send me one? Bigfoot, right? Or something, like a weird looking one? I have friends that live in Messina, Doug. Yeah, I have friends that live up there. Actually, I thought about moving up there. But I don't know. Not once my dad got sick, I'm kind of stuck here for a little while. Thank you, Booberry. Appreciate that. All right, Dogman experiences. My mother is certain that there is some kind of monster that resembles a werewolf in the Camp Douglas, Fort McCoy region of Wisconsin. When the decade of the 1990s came to a close, my mom and her boyfriend were traveling between Toma and Sparta on the frontage road that ran parallel to the highway. It was a night in autumn when the moon was full view. I refer to it as frontage road, but due to the presence of the trees, it is not often visible from the adjacent freeway. They see what they believe to be a very enormous guy emerge from the forest on all fours and make a successful jump over a chain link fence and barbed wire fence that surrounds the military installation. This walled off area that is surrounded by a fence and has a sign indicating what it is for and whose army base it is part of this stone entry wall. This creature jumps over the chain-linked barbed wire fence and vanishes into the surrounding forest. It had ears similar to those of a human, but more like a dog. They don't stop, of course, but when they see whatever it is, they stress out and ask the other passengers in the car whether they saw it or not. Next one, in the same location. 5 years later, my dad's cousin, who had never met my mother due to the fact that the family is fractured, was telling me about a time he and his girlfriend had been on frontage road, traveling out to look at a house they were interested in buying. It was becoming dark during the winter. They go quite near to this stone entryway, and there is something perched on it. They halted down and glanced at it before continuing. They claimed that it looked to be a werewolf since it was perched on its haunches on the stone wall and staring directly at them. It seems to be considering a chase, as seen by the way its ears move backward in a manner similar to that of a dog. His wife shouts, but he ignores her and continues driving. They continued on their way, never detouring to look at the home on the way back to the highway. What really gets under my skin is that 2 sightings took place years apart and a total of at least 6 adults seen it. Some of them, in my opinion, would absolutely adore being able to state that they witnessed anything similar to this. But not all of them are as fanatical as I am. When I need to drive by Fort McCoy, I always have my eyes on the peel, and hopefully I never get lost en route in that forested region. But, I still can't help but just to peek into the trees just in case I spot something there. MJ Bates, thank you so much. Thank you. Margie, Gigi, thank you, dearie. Thank you. Are many of these Dogman sightings? Thick Nick. I not all of them. I think that when there are Dogman sightings near military installations, we tend to look at them more with an open eye because obviously they're at a military installation and it's supposed to be secure. But I mean, think about it. These are wild animals, wild creatures, whatever. They can pretty much go and do whatever they want to do. I mean, deer go into a military installation and such, but I'd say no. You're more apt to probably have an experience if you are not looking for one of these things and just randomly out in the woods by yourself one day. And hopefully you don't ever see one, because I don't know, I really never thought about my experience in 94 when I had my encounter in 94. But last live stream I did, when we were talking about the Tom Mezit case, and I got thinking about it, I've had not just the 94 experience, but whatever chased me out of the woods that day, that's on camera, whatever I caught in front of me, and whatever made that metallic noise. So technically I've had 4 experiences, 3 of them in one area where a known missing 411 is. So it's pretty freaking crazy. Local Joke 22, thank you. Rando, how are you? Rita. And Agnia Peter. I hope I said your name right. Thank you. The ambulance experience was on Sunday. Wayne, thank you very much. Appreciate you. I've got a whole file of Indiana experiences. Not tonight though. Is Saratoga Springs a nice place to live? I live a half an hour north of Saratoga. Well, no, 20 minutes north of Saratoga. My parents live like 5 minutes from there. It's expensive. It's quiet. In the summer, it's hell because of the horse racing. But all in all, it's a nice place to live. From north of Saratoga is, well, the Adirondacks, where I live, which we have Lake George and a lot of cool stuff. South of Saratoga is Albany, which there's a lot of cool stuff to do in Albany. Albany's really cleaned up a lot, so it does feel like a Saturday. It does. But, like, you live someplace and you forget how beautiful it is. Like, I have a calendar of the Adirondacks, and I'm happy that I have it in here because, I just forget where I take it for granted that I live in a huge national, not national, I guess it'd be a national forest, but it's like one of the biggest state parks in our country. It's freaking huge. Adam, how are you, buddy? Nice. What's going on, Wolf Moose Bear? How are you, bud? I'm having a great birthday. My birthday was great so far. Yeah, it's just trees. It's a cover up, and then there's Bigfoot here, and then my Dogman thing. And I'm getting a raven right here. When I was young, Alexis, I was dumb, and my parents let me get away with murder because I was the only kid. So I had a half pipe in my backyard, and we bought a tattoo gun, me and my friend, and gave each other a bunch of tattoos. So it was just fucking retarded. So these are cover-ups. I'd like to see Lake Superior. I'd love to see Lake Superior. Nothing out of Gila. Nothing out of Gila as of yet. I think Yokozuna's calling me. All right. Thunderbird experience out of Wisconsin for all you folks in Wisconsin. On the Independence Day holiday, my family had a big bash. My aunt and her husband even showed up. They shared a fascinating story with me. About 10 or so years ago, they were fishing in a small lake called Pike Lake in Wisconsin. They were on a rowboat when a heavy storm shelf moved in. They said it was supposed to stay north of them, but it shifted and began to move over the lake. First thing they noticed was a temperature drop by what felt like 30 degrees. Soon after, all the birds flew in a massive swarm all at once. That's when they knew to get the hell off the lake. It got eerily silent, calm before the storm, right? And they started to row towards shore. Soon the wind picked up, and I am told the water got super choppy, but it was pitch black, the caps almost crystal-like. A siren started to ring, and they were struggling against the waves to get back to shore. Luckily, the owner of the resort they were staying at happened to be nearby to help pull them to safety. The sky went green from a tornado that touched down about 5 miles east of them. Once it cleared up, they went back out onto the lake, and they rode past this lily patch. My aunt's husband said he'd cast out and was looking at a tree. As they drifted closer to it, he said the tree just didn't look right, and he couldn't put his finger on it. When they were about 10 feet from the shoreline in the tree, a head turned slowly. A massive curved beak stood out to them. Then it drops from the tree and spreads its wings. They said the span was massive, 15 to 16 feet. He screams to my aunt, "Look at the size of that thing," as it swoops over them close enough to see the details or veins in its wings. They said that it was dark gray with a purplish sheen to it. As it flew off, it didn't flap its wings like a typical bird trying to obtain lift. It was very slow and steady. They could hear a whoosh with each flap. To this day, they swear to this account. They said they know for sure that it was not a heron or a sand crane. The curved beak was more aligned with some kind of hawk or bird of prey, but it was far too big to be any hawk or eagle they'd ever seen. When I mentioned that their experience and description reminded me of a Thunderbird, my aunt's husband seemed to kind of like something finally clicked, as if he had never considered a Thunderbird before. I pulled up a picture of some Native American totems with a Thunderbird present, and I could see the color drain from his face. I swiped to an artist's rendition of what one may look like, and he says, I never considered that, but I swear that's what it had to have been. It looked almost exactly like that, just a slightly different in color. I had never seen anything like this before or since. Now, I'm not saying that what they saw wasn't something explainable or misidentified. However, their sincerity and knowledge of local wildlife, they are frequent fishers and hikers, compels me to believe they definitely saw something a bit out of the ordinary. Clint, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Alexis, what's up, Jim Baker? Alexis was born in Connecticut. Janie lives in Connecticut. I just moved to Kentucky, and I've been sleeping in a tent at night. I hope I don't see anything. Holy by gosh, I hope that you're okay. Please stay safe. Jeff, I love you. A lot lizard. When you open the window, blue. Yeah, Mr. Andrew, the pizza bird. Yes. Very interesting. Jim Baker, you know what I'm smoking on, brother. Mike Turner, thank you. I appreciate you. Jim Baker asks every time, no, it's not dope, you dink. It's a jewel. Lot lizard story it is then, kids. Once again, the lot lizard experiences are fictional. I have to keep saying this just because. Robbie Lynn, thank you so much. Your drunk aunt, how are you? All right, here we go. As I was driving down the highway, I noticed a strange figure on the side of the road. It was a lizard-like creature with a wicked grin and a sinister laugh. It was dressed in a truck stop attendant uniform and was clearly not human. I slowed down to get a better look at this creature, and it began to move toward me. I sped up and locked the doors, hoping to escape the creature's grasp. As I drove away, I could hear the creature's laughter and the sound of heavy footsteps. I knew I had to get the hell out of here before it found me. I drove as fast as I could, but the creature was closing in on me. It was almost as if I could feel her hot breath on my skin. I knew I had to get out of here. I managed to lose this creature on the highway, but I knew I had to get out of there before I was found again. I drove as fast as I could, and the creature was again closing in on me. I could feel its hot breath again. I managed to escape and found a place to hide. I was shaking and my heart was racing, but I knew that it was going to find me again. I managed to escape the creature and again found another place to hide. Soon it did find me, and this time it did encircle my position where my truck was stopped. It was flickering its tongue slowly out at me, its skin a speckled, scaly patch. It was sort of captivating. You could definitely see that it was trying to be a woman, yet oddly reptilian. Suddenly, it jumped onto my hood of my truck and splayed its beautiful gaze at me. It then made a growling hiss and said, "Open up the truck, I want to come in." I then punched my truck as fast as it would go. The creature hung on for dear life. I eventually hit the creature as it fell off, and I felt a thud under my truck. I drove as fast as I could, hoping that it was definitely not a human and I was hallucinating from the road. I pull into a truck stop a couple of miles down the road, and lo and behold, there is this beautiful woman in a truck stop attendee uniform staring at me and smiling. Is it the lot lizard that I had just hit? I don't know, but I did not stay. That was shitty. I didn't like that one. Mona Lisa, thank you. Jim Baker, I thought so too. There was nothing better than the lot lizard using her tail a couple of weeks ago to get frisky with that truck driver in the truck stop bathroom, though. Cat people. It seems to me that most of them are scared, like use their appearance to scare people. I've only heard of cat or feline humans in Texas, Mexico region for some reason, like the southern kind of Tex-Mex area, California, but nothing. I don't think I've ever had any past Texas, to be honest with you. Yeah. Tigger is downstairs. Usually at midnight at the Saturday Nightmares, I close downstairs. No, I can't get him right now. It'd take me like 4 or 5 minutes to get him. So he's sleeping down there. He'll be up here for Saturday's show. It's only a couple days away. Last experience of the night, and then I gotta go and do an interview. This one's pretty interesting. My grandfather was a real badass. He was born in Alberta, Canada during the 30s. Canadian badass. That's something you don't hear often. During the 30s, and raised his 3 brothers on a reservation from the time that he was 9. This was after his parents left for British Columbia with their only daughter, promising to return. None of the boys ever saw them again. To make ends meet, he learned carpentry and worked as a laborer, a bare-knuckle boxer against some older men for extra cash. He learned how to track and hunt and always came home with something to eat when work was scarce. When he was 14, he put the second oldest brother in charge of the household, left the res in search of his parents and a better life. He never went back. That was the last time he ever saw any of his family members. He spent several months riding the rails, befriending some transients while using his fighting skills to defend himself against others. He eventually made his way to Vancouver, the last known whereabouts of his parents and sister, and started to work at a pulp mill. At 17, he met my grandmother, and the two eventually were married, leading to him giving up his search for his family. They had bought some land, and he spent his free time building several houses, which still stand to this day. One of those sat on the land he bought with my grandmother, which included acres of woodland. On this land, my grandparents kept horses and small farm animals for eggs and meat. My aunt was born in the early 50s, and then my mom came along right before the end of the decade. As far as I've ever heard, nothing bad or strange really happened until my mom found an old Ouija board and started playing with it by herself. But I don't know if that has any relation to this experience. My mom was around 8 when she was riding her horse through a wooded part of their acreage, when the horse stopped dead in its tracks. My mom tried to spur it on, but it was frozen in fear. And all of a sudden, she smelled something like rotten garbage and meat. She pulled back on the reins, and the horse instantly turned and took off back toward the house, almost knocking her off its back several times along the way. Afterward, that horse was never the same. It would try and kick her, and if she got on it, it would fall backwards, trying to crush her. Once, it started acting like its old self again, letting her climb onto it, but once she did, it ran towards the road and stopped abruptly, bucking her forward into the path of an oncoming car. My granddad saw it happen and put a shotgun to the head. And the horse just kept breathing heavily and staring straight ahead. My mother barely missing being run over by the car that saw the horse coming and managed to swerve out of the way. My grandmother begged my grandfather not to shoot the horse. He finally decided to give it away when he saw that my mother wasn't hurt that bad. That same horse fell on the next person that rode it, breaking their collarbone. And the father did what my granddad was going to do and should have done. After that, animals started going missing, and one of the hunting dogs was injured by something during an attack at night. My granddad set out some traps and stayed in the hayloft above the barn with a shotgun and rifle beside him. And he slept out there for several nights. He figured it was fox or maybe coyote or wolves or possibly even a desperate bear, which is what he attributed the smell in the woods to and the reason the horse lost its mind. But nothing came the entire time he slept out there. And eventually he figured it had moved on for easier prey or possibly died. The day after he stopped sleeping in the barn, my mom was out near the tree line playing with an injured dog as it was healing. Out of nowhere, the dog started smelling the air, then positioned itself between my mom and the trees, growling and barking. My granddad heard the noise and came out, stopped in his tracks, and called back to my grandmother to bring his rifle, then whistled for the dogs. My grandma came out, handed him his rifle, then asked what was going on as the dogs all started to react like the first one. My grandfather pointed to one of the treetops, which looked longer and thicker than those around it, but it was very slightly moving. Whatever was there was at least 6 feet tall, he told me later when he tried to retell the experience, but probably a good bit taller. He took aim and fired just as he saw a pair of wings start to open. Whatever was up there was watching them, but he beat it to the punch. It was a kill shot directly to the chest with a high-powered rifle, and he instantly started running forward with all the dogs following him as the thing plummeted to the ground. The breaking of tree branches, wholly unmistakable. When he reached the impact point, he raised his rifle again and commanded the dogs forward to flush it out. But they all just stood in a spot and kept spinning around, trying to catch the scent of what seemingly disappeared. A pile of broken branches lie in an obvious landing spot, but beyond that, there was no proof of anything ever happening. No body, no blood, no trail. It had either disappeared or gone straight back up the way it had come. He searched those woods for several days, but never found a sign of whatever it was, and they didn't see it or experience issues with the animals after that. Decades later, when my granddad was dying, he kept talking about how he saw something. In his delirium, he referred to it as an alien, but he said it was coming back for him. I've never seen that man scared of anything in my life, but there was actual panic and fear in his voice. A few nights before he passed, he had already been too weak to stand on his own for several days, and my grandmother awoke to a sound of a gunshot. She ran outside, fearing the worst, and saw my granddad lowering his rifle, staring at something in the distance. She took the rifle away and helped him back inside, and that was it. I don't know if whatever it was actually did come back for him, or if it was a hallucination of an old memory, but I'd like to think he went out with a final fuck you to that thing that tried to torment his family all those years ago. How do you get outside? You know, that's crazy. So whatever it was really tormenting him, or maybe a hallucination. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I really think that, like, there's a lot of schizophrenic people that I don't think are schizophrenic, that I think really are seeing something and are locked away in an asylum, you know, and are being tortured by demons. Maybe that's what it was. Who knows? Anyway, it is 10:06. I got an interview to do. I want to thank you all for spending an hour with me on my birthday. I had so much fun, and thank you for everything. And I just realized you have my mom's birthday. Happy 86th, Mom. Oh, do something. That's awesome. Yeah, happy 86 to do something different, Mom. Up in heaven. All right. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for, like, literally helping this channel continue to just grow. It's amazing what we've become. So everyone stay safe, stay happy, stay frosty. I don't know. Don't let your meatloaf. All right. I will see you guys next Saturday, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But video, actually, I'm going to upload a video in a minute. I got one all set for you guys. So, see ya.